So we're getting closer and closer to the release of BLEACH Rebirth of Souls, and we've seen a lot of gameplay. I got to play the demo, and we've got to see a lot of different videos and just some things about the game, and I thought I wanted to compile some things that I've noticed after watching some of these clips and give y'all some information that y'all should know before the game releases. Some of y'all might actually know some of this information if you've been following every single thing for BLEACH Rebirth of Souls, but if you've just been dipping in and out, man, I'm going to catch you up with some things that maybe you didn't know about the game, and if you want a more in-depth thing about all the stuff with the game, make sure to go check out my actual demo impressions. I actually posted a video about all of my stuff that I experienced with the demo, man. But today's anime question is going to be, of these 10 things that I tell you, which of them did you actually find to be the most helpful or most knowledgeable if you didn't know it, man? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate y'all's feedback. And if it's something you might be interested in, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell, do all those nice things. And if you want to see more anime game content, make sure to join the Discord pinned in the description. But let's go ahead and hop straight into this video. So before we start this video, I've been saying a lot of things going back and forth between Kikon and Soul Destruction. So going forward, man, so y'all won't get confused. When I say Kikon move, I'm talking about the move wherever your sword gets coated in red. I'm not actually talking about the animation. If I say Soul Destruction, then that's when I'm actually talking about the animation of the Konpaku being destroyed and the lives and all that stuff. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into these things. So the first thing is going to be no Soul Destruction animation will be triggered if you deplete your opponent's ratio all the way down to 0 and they only have one Konpaku left. This is something that I was actually able to see from the demo, and this is just a special win condition where if there's one Konpaku left and you deplete all of your opponent's health, you're not going to have to watch any animation, which is, you know, something small, but something that you do need to know. The second thing is going to be your flash or your heavy attack will change depending on if you actually tilt the stick or not. This is not something I really talked about in my initial demo impressions, but if you just press the normal like triangle or normal heavy attack, it's just going to be like, you know, a little bit of like a slower, more damaging, you know, a little bit more close the distance, a little bit of a heavier attack. But if you actually tilt the stick floor, then this is actually going to allow you to cover more distance, and it's still going to have that extra damage. So this is a special ability that every character has, which allows them to actually close the distance and actually bring the fight closer to their opponent. And when we saw with Mayuri, where he was actually using his robotic arm to pull people in, this actually might be his special flash attack, which allows him to close the distance on people. So keep that in mind whenever you get the game and you start playing with some of these characters. Try out their special flash attack to see what they actually use to close the distance. The third thing is going to be, you don't have to fully revive to actually get some health from reawakening. So with reawakenings, I thought that you only get your health back if it's a full revival, very similar to like the Vastolode form, or also what we get from some other characters that get resurrections like we get with Zeloporo Grants. But what we did see actually when we were actually looking at some gameplay and analyzing things is that Ukiura did get a little bit of health back when he went into his reawakening. So you can actually get a little bit of health depending on what the reawakening is. We don't know if Uryu gets some health back as well, but we did see with Ukiura, he gets at least a little bit that can maybe get him out of a reishi deficient state if you actually plan this at the right time. So keep that in mind. The fourth thing is going to be damaged outfits. We saw in the recent systems overview trailer that we saw Ichigo with a damaged outfit. Now we don't think that this is actual damage from the fight because we haven't really saw a lot of like costume damage and like damage on the avatars whenever they're fighting. We did see stage damage, but we don't know about outfit damages. This could be something that could be, you know, put in later on to the game, but I'd like to believe we're getting pretty close to the final build, and if we haven't seen it yet, it's probably not in there, but we do know that it actually seems like there's at least options to have a damaged outfit, which is hopefully something that we can equip whenever we actually get the full game. The second thing is going to be, you have to block charged Kikon moves if you don't want to get put into the Soul Destruction animation. And what I'm saying is, the scene that had everybody confused whenever we saw in the crew be outside gameplay, and Yoriichi was able to hit 2 Soul Destruction moves on Byakuya even though he had full reishi, this happened because he wasn't blocking. When you get hit back with that initial Kikon move, whenever your opponent holds the R2 again and they set up for the Soul Destruction move, if you don't block, you're going to get hit with this animation and they're still going to take your health bars. Now this is something that maybe they could maybe patch in later to where you can still block it even if you're not even guarding, but right now you need to make sure that you block whenever you recover from this animation, because if you don't, you're going to pay for it and you're going to get your Konpaku destroyed. Number 6 is going to be, guard breaks have 2 different activations, and you can actually see from the control scene that I actually have on the screen, if you hold it, it's going to be a little bit of a different input from when you're just pressing it. Either way, this is still a slower activation that is meant to break the guard and open your opponent up, but it is nice to see that we have some variations and options. I didn't really get to test this out to see how different it is when you do hold it, but we do know there's going to be 2 different options with this, pretty similar to how it is with the special flash attack and the normal flash attack, whereas if you do additional input, something will be a little bit different with each character. Number 7 is something that I found from looking at the stuff that I got from the demo. I'm just going to call this the perfect flash step whenever you time it at the right time and you get behind your opponent, but when you do this, it actually increases your spiritual energy gauge, so you're going to get a little bit more spiritual energy to maybe punish them and actually hit them with a spiritual pressure move. This is pretty cool that we actually finally got to see what is the benefit of time in this, because if there's no type of buff that you get from this, it's not going to be rewarding to actually pull this off. But it's nice to know that we do get some spiritual pressure meter whenever we do this. The 8th thing is going to be your spiritual pressure move 1 and 2 have set amounts, and then hopefully this means what it is for every character. But when we look at the demo, when we look at the description, it says that your spiritual pressure move 1 is always going to be 50, and it says your spiritual pressure move 2 is always going to take 100. And most characters have a max of about 150 whenever you max out your spiritual pressure meter, meaning you could pair both moves together to use your full meter. But if this is the locked thing for all moves, that means that whoever has one of the strongest spiritual pressure moves 1 is going to have a very good advantage, because it's always going to be that 50, which means you can get it off 3 times from your full meter if you have a really good spiritual pressure move 1. So it's going to be very interesting to see what characters have going forward, and actually be able to see which of these moves are going to be able to be utilized more often, since it seems like these are going to be set at 50 and 100 with a full meter of 150. Number 9 is something that probably a lot of y'all have seen, and it's going to be the reverse actions have cosmetic effects depending on the character. And the only one we've seen it with so far is with Ichigo. Whenever you're in your Bankai form, if you activate your white reverse, which replenishes your Reishi, you also go into your half holification, which is what allows you to actually destroy more Konpaku as well. Hopefully we see this done with maybe more characters, especially if we get Vizards and they don't actually have a transformation in their awakening. Maybe they can find a way to implement this also into the reversal. And I do like that they're finding a way to still put extra knit tits into the game and things that people are going to like, but without having to take up too many resources to still make people happy. And the 10th thing is going to be something to clear things up between the difference between the quick attacks and the flash attack. We already know that the quick attacks are meant more to be more faster, and they also chop down the block a little bit slower, but you can use these to actually deplete your opponent's ratio whenever they're not guarding. We know that the flash attacks are slower, but they do more guard damage. But we also need to know that the flash attacks have higher range. So if you're using your heavy attacks or your slower strikes, these are going to allow you to cover more distance. You might want to time these and use these more often whenever people are trying to zone you, whereas your quick attacks tend to not have as much range unless you have a character like maybe Uryu or a character that just specializes in fighting range. You're going to want to use those whenever you're close up. But it's nice to know that these are going to be different, and you're going to have to use these different ways depending on the situation in the battle. And those are all the things that we really have for now, man, for Bleach Rebirth of Souls. We gave you 10 things that maybe you didn't know, maybe you didn't know. Let me know in the comments how this video was helpful for you and how, much information it actually gave you. I'm excited for this game to release. I have so many characters in my head that I think are going to be my main, and we know whenever the game releases, that whole little graph that I have in my head is just going to be messed up. But I'm so excited to get my hands on this game and finally play it with y'all. We're going to be having a stream and we're going to be getting all the ones with everybody, man. So make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and do all those things so you can see whenever the game releases, and y'all can pull up and hey, we can fight and do all those things, man. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know how y'all felt about some of these things that I talked about, and I'm gonna see you on the next Bleach video, man. Yeah.